Select powered by HyperX. We've got G2 selecting first pick and BLG in return responding by choosing the blue side. BLG going to ban out Orianna and Rumble, focusing on those solo lanes. Meanwhile, on the other side, it's Varus, Karma, and Jarvan banned away by G2.
Yeah, as for the first game of Fearless, we stay pretty standard here. I will say Yunara is always pretty high priority, but at the beginning, there are lots of answers into Yunara. I do like the Karma ban here as well, though, because Karma Ezreal, the heavy poke lanes, can be super, super abusive. Viper and On have certainly used those to success. So let's see, they go with the Rise option here, targeting the mid lane, and mid lane champion pool is one that got affected by the patch pretty significantly, so yeah. Let's see about this. On the first pick, they go Vi, so you're immediately thinking like Taliyah options and stuff that
Ahri.
Yeah, Ahri and Taliyah, those types of things that combo with Vi for heavy single target kill pressure.
All right, BLG, how do you want to respond to that single target kill pressure, to the power of diving a carry that Vi provides? I want to see if they also want to place some priority on the jungle, because once Vi's locked in, you don't really have to focus jungle as your first pick. You know Vi's not going to go anywhere else.
And
so
what you can do when you see Vi, though, because Vi is not very strong early in 1v1 scenarios, for junglers, we're usually thinking, hell yeah, what can I pick to like invade or
scrap with her.
Force fights early at the very least against the Vi, you know, pre-6. You can have a really good time. And so Xin is definitely a premier one of those duelists.
Yeah, and over on the G2 side, as soon as they see that Ashe and Xin locked in, it was a fast lock on the Senna Nautilus for the bottom lane.
Yeah, they've got the CC ready. So if you decided to go for a Seraphine Ashe lane, you know, they've got Senna scaling, picking up souls, and Nautilus to force fights here. But BLG, they can force fights of their own. Ashe Arrow combined with whatever. Okay, so they were just hovering some supports there. In the end, the Ambessa still up. And that feels like a lock for Bin.
Yup, and not only is it a lock for Bin, remember Ambessa can still be flexed into the jungle. We could see it potentially go either
If you want to put the Xin where? Xin top?
Okay, that would make it a little bit tougher. All right,
you could do that, though.
I always add these little asterisks, even on a 1% chance, because the 1% of the time that it works, I'm going to look like a genius.
Yeah, okay, well, you should also mention could go mid lane, too, then, because you could flex Ambessa mid lane if you want.
Okay,
you want to get your 1%ers there?
All right, let's go down to the 0.5%. Ambessa mid lane.
You're the type to like bet on almost every number except like 0-0s on roulette, right?
Yeah, we got
Flowers like, I'm going to cover everything here.
It's a 50-50. You hit it or you don't.
Okay.
That's the way it works, all right? But let's get into our second half of the bans here. With that Ambessa most likely going top, they are going to ban out the Renekton, which traditionally is one of those champions that, you know, it can do decent into the Ambessa. It'll have just fine of a lane. It'll get by all kinds of easy. And Seraphine banned out by G2. You're already talking about how Senna and Nautilus are going to be able to dive into that Ashe Seraphine combo and put some pressure onto it, but they'd still rather not deal with that dynamic duo, as Jax will also be banned out. So 2 protection bans there for the Ambessa.
And Flowers, you know, you mentioned the Renekton and the Jax. Those are 2 very, very common, you know, picks into the Ambessa, but Broken Blade is a chef. Broken Blade, he's like a 4-star chef, okay? He can cook, and stuff like, Volley Bear or something as a like really good lane counter to Ambessa are up. So you never know with Broken Blade how hard he wants to cook very early into a series, but Broken Blade having counter pick could make that a little bit more spicy. We'll see if they actually do it. Of course, they do have a pretty big like enabling team on G2 at the moment.
Yeah.
Senna takes a while to scale up and really do damage, but they have all their engaged covered. So you're just looking at solo lane carries for the G2 side. Meanwhile, we did mention Shen supports from On, and he definitely likes it, and that would be my assumption here, although you're flexible opportunities, Flowers.
I don't know how Xin Zhao or Ambessa would do at support, so I think I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take the bet that it's probably Shen down there, but hey, we heard from Hans in the preview at the top of the day. He knows that On is going to play some wacky supports, and Shen fits right into that slot. So it's going to be Ashe Shen versus versus Senna Nautilus in the bottom lane. They're going to lock the Poppy on the G2 side because there is a lot of mobility with Zen, Shen, and Ambessa for Poppy to deny with steadfast presence. Final pick of the draft for G2 will be Annie for Caps.
Yeah, and we talked about, you know, Broken Blade's counters, and he's going for a more like nullifying style counter in this one. So, wow, G2, I mean, they're tanky flowers.
Oh, yeah.
G2's got a pretty beefy, tanky team here, and it does have burst potential. So we'll see if they can get through it. But BLG, they've got some anti-burst. They added a Galio on top of the Shen. So both Galio and Shen kind of anti-burst opportunities here for the Vi and like Annie targets. Some pretty good answers on the BLG side as well.
I like how you say Vi and Annie targets, plural, when you've got like 4 tanky units and then you have Ashe. This is a protect the president comp. Galio, Shen, Xin Zhao can knock everybody away with the ultimate. It's going to be a lot of pressure on Viper. You know that SkewMond and Caps and even the support, right? You're going to have Labrov also trying to drop those depth charges on Viper constantly. So much focus, I feel like, on G2 will be focused towards Viper, and BLG's got to be ready to protect him.
Yeah, it's a good point to bring up, Flowers, because honestly, Viper has not looked, you know, at his best. He has shown some mistakes in the previous series, especially. You know, I thought in the early part of that series, his Ezreal game, he had this really aggressive arcane shift in that got both him and On killed. Yeah. Just 2v2 in lane. And then he also rushed some ganks where Shen was in really good position to gank bottom lane, and he just like positioned too far up too early and, you know, gave up some kills there. So yeah, I think it is good to have a magnifying glass on Viper, actually.
All right, loading onto the Rift for game number 1 here. BLG versus G2. Reminder, first stand is a very fast, very explosive tournament. In this group stage, it's 2 wins, you're through, 2 losses, you are out. So whichever team wins this best of 5 will be in the top 4. They will make it into our very compressed bracket stage, and you would love to just be cruising into that part of the tournament with a 2-0, with an undefeated streak here in terms of series, at least. So let's see how it goes down here with the Senna Nautilus versus the Ashe Shen. I'm not going to lie to you, Kobe. I don't really know a lot about Shen supports matchups.
Shen, honestly, is pretty good at scrapping. So let's see how aggressively On wants to play it, and he goes for the early taunt to get the cleanse.
Immediately finds that summoner spell there from Han Sama, so could provide the opportunity potentially for an early gank, especially considering Shen is starting top to bottom.
Exactly, Flowers. On always trying to set up stuff for Shen to be able to have opportunities, and since Shen is on the Xin matchup into a Vi, you know, you're not even too scared if it was matched, and since it is not matched and junglers are pathing opposite directions, they will have a clear path. Of course, you see that kind of defensive ward down there in the river. They're trying to look out for any extra aggressive moves from the Xin. But here is the overall record of these two teams, as bottom lane is scrapping pretty heavily, Flowers, but we can safely go over.
Oh, maybe we can. On is not very safe anymore. Hansama tries to flash, following Viper, wants to slow him down, but his first blood over to G2. And the root hits Viper. They're going to claim the cleanse from the Ashe as well. G2 responds to the aggro of BLG, and they will find first blood.
Okay, as the graphic is playing, the overall record between these two teams at Riot International tournaments, Labrov and Hansama say, yeah, I don't care if we, you know, haven't had a series yet. Shen is down here, though. He might be able to answer.
All right, Shen looking for it. He knows there's no flash on Hansama. Labrov going to be your first target here, but the wind becomes lightning, does connect onto the Senna. He doesn't get the third of the Talon strikes. As Labrov tries to get away, the flash is down. G2, however, does not lose a man, and they'll be happy with this.
When your Senna lane is doing this well early, well, Flowers, we've got more action.
Okay, Bin's now the one who could be in some danger. SkewMond over the wall there with a Vault Breaker, but he does not collide with the Ambessa. Beautiful job escaping there by Bin. Doesn't lose a ton of health, but he does have to spend his flash.
Whew. Honestly, not disappointing already. Our, you know, the combined kills per minute from these two teams, the action here starting very early. Bottom lane, okay, yeah, On did go in and die at first blood, but remember, he also died first blood when he was playing the Camille support. And then, he started roaming around and making a bunch of plays with Shen, linking up with the junglers. So, yeah, we'll see. we'll see here if the Shen is able to bounce back. But this is so good for G2. Having the bottom lane here return, and it is just on, again, these aggressive taunts from him, but he gets locked up with the center route, and then they go for the chase. Another hook here from Labrov lands, and with that flash, even with the slow Viper trying to peel him, Hans is able to grab it.
And that attempt at appeal ends up also costing Viper the cleanse, like we mentioned in the moment. That summoner spell still has about half the cooldown remaining, so the bottom lane of BLG is going to have to play cautiously.
All right, Boots of Swiftness, just one shot that purchase for Hans too. It's so hard to punish the Senna.
Whoa, Knight underneath the turret. Caps uses the flash to block the Justice Punch to guarantee that his opponent is going to take the turret aggro. Nice move there, as now bottom lane is once again a 2v2 battle. Viper finds a little bit of damage. BLG has the health bar advantage, but I really like that cheeky play from Caps over in mid.
Yeah, I definitely do too, and they trade flashes, so now mid lane is a good gank opportunity. Obviously, bottom lane is a good gank opportunity, Flowers, and so is top lane, because SkewMond already ganked top and they got the flash out of Bin. So this is a jungler's paradise, Flowers. This is what really put junglers to the test, is when you have to balance so many like volatile lanes that have opportunities, but also you have to farm, you have to keep your farm up, get to your level 6, and get to your Scuttle Crab fights. First of all, we're not even going to have the Scuttle Crab spawn before Dragon, because Shen is going to take this one while SkewMond is on top side, so he's going to get the extra little experience boost from this Dragon off their pushing bottom lane. And that is gonna do some nice things for him, but there are so many opportunities to find kills in this game with so many laners' flashes being down.
Well, you've pointed out, hey, this is a test of your ability to make sound judgments as a jungler, and I feel like if you're Shen, you're happy stealing away that first Drake 5.5 minutes into the game, guaranteeing that G2 can't contest because of the state of bot lane like you were talking about.
Yeah, you want to try and take advantage before the Senna has souls, right? That's why they keep on scrapping, keep on looking for these fights, because before the Senna has souls, you should be able to get advantages. It's just that G2 outplayed them and got their early kill on the Hans Sama, which we said he invested in movement speed. The Boots of Swiftness allow Senna to dodge out so many ganks. She's already hard to catch and pretty slippery with the Shroud, but with that extra move speed, it goes such a long way. And then, of course, reduces the effectiveness of that Ashe attempted peel that we were talking about with those slows.
Top lane is not looking so fun for Broken Blade right now. Bin does have total control over this 1v1. Up about 2 waves of CS right now, and you can see Broken Blade taking a recall. He does not have his teleport cooldown back yet, so this is going to be some minions lost. Luckily, it is a cannon wave, so that should absorb most of this for him, but Bin will be happy with the lead that he's built for himself.
And again, don't go flaming Broken Blade for like, failed counter pick or whatever. It's like an attempted nullifying pick, you know, and trying to use it to shut down mobility like you were talking about. But Bin is doing a really good job taking advantage of it and punishing him for that. Even with the G2 jungle pressure up there, Bin is making a very, very sound investment here, grabbing turret plates as well as such a big farm lead.
Yeah, the way that I'm going to judge Broken Blade's efficacy on this pick is what he stops with the steadfast presence in the team fights, because there's so much stuff that's pretty easily telegraphed, right? Ambessa, if she's anywhere, she's dashing. That's just what the character does. Justice Punch on Galio is very easy to react with the steadfast presence to. And then Shen and On also having those big dashes. So Broken Blade, yeah, the lane's going to suck, but you're going to have a lot of opportunities to make the team fights really shine.
And Bin, deserves credit. He's making it suck for Broken Blade more than it's supposed to suck.
Okay. He's leveling it up.
Yeah, he's doing quite a good job.
Ooh, Cap's in some danger now, though. Here comes the taunt into the 3-talon strike. Shen providing some help there tonight. And the winds of war will blow down Caps. BLG are on the board.
Nice punishment here. We talked about all the flashes being down, Flowers. They go mid. Shen is able to find efficacy there as well. Turret plate after the kill. It is a cannon wave as well, so the cannon is going to die there. Caps does not have teleport to get back. SkewMond will take the opportunity to sneak into the Grub's pit, though, and at least get some objectives here for G2, given the fact that BLG already got the early dragon. You know, he wants to slip in here and get something back.
Yep, and he's got Broken Blade up there as well. The state of the top lane perfectly favors G2 being able to secure all 3 of the grubs. So SkewMond will complete that. Broken Blade hanging around just to make sure nobody is in the area to try to mess with him. Important to note right now, On is about 90% of the way to level 6, so keep your eyes on the Stand United. This is one of the longest cooldown ultimates in the game. It's like 3 minutes or something, if I'm recalling correctly. So when On uses this early on in the game, we really need to see it result in either preventing a kill or making a kill happen. If you use the Shen ult and it gets wasted, it feels so bad.
Yeah, certainly does. On the River Shen activated.
All right.
Roaming around, and he's actually accomplished so much when he links up with Shen. We talked about it last time, but Cap's nice little speed boost right here, just with the shield. Able to evade the Galio setup, and they have plenty of wards there to see some of the travelers through this river and through this attempt at Caps' life, so Caps avoids it nicely.
All right, we've got 1 minute on the clock until our next Drake spawns. It's going to be a very early second Drake because the first Drake only got to be alive for about 30 seconds before Shen secured it for BLG. Considering this second Drake might result in a fight, I want to check in on where all the gold is at right now, where G2 has the advantage in the bottom lane, support and AD carry, both with individual leads, but it is the solo laners for BLG, and we heard the analyst desk talk about that at the top of the day. Emily, I believe, was the one who mentioned that the power of the solo lanes, the skill of Knight and Bin, is going to be something that G2 needs to prove they can stand toe-to-toe with if they want to be able to win this best of 5.
Yeah, something everybody who plays against them is going to have to deal with, and one of the greatest strengths. You know, BLG, it's always so fun to watch their skirmishes. These early stages just are so exciting, where they can get skirmishes throughout the river, and
Oh, the force of the flash on Caps there with the arrow. If that collides, Caps is 100% dead, but having to use the flash also feels so bad. Anti-Flash Tibbers is the character. It's why you draft this champion, and now Caps won't have that opportunity for the next 5 minutes. Taunt Flash coming in from On. Here's your heroic entrance, but Knight is just a little bit too late there. Their opponents were able to get away in time, but Broken Blade with the solo kill in top lane. I got to see the replay of how that one happened. BB with the beautiful solo onto Bin's Ambessa.
there it is, Ambessa nullified. Nice job, Broken Blade. The solo bolo, and Labrov had avoided the Galio ult on bottom side. G2 winning everywhere. Even though Caps does take a large chunk of HP, they're still on the dragon.
Okay, but On and Viper are nearby. So is Knight. Dredge line onto On as the Ocean Drake is already secured. Now BLG's got to try to get away. Defensive taunt from On, but Viper is in the wrong side of the map. Shun with the wind becomes lightning into the audacious charge. Looking to put some damage onto Hansama. On still staying alive with about 200 HP. Labrov is low, but G2 is fine. Dawning Shadow fired into the BLG health bars. BLG wants something, but they can't get anything back. G2 find another kill and the dragon.
All right, they're just on fire right now, Flowers. Wait a second, Caps, though, he does not have flash, so Knight wants to mess around.
Knight lands the taunt there onto SkewMond as he goes in. Shun still following behind his mid laner as On arrives here with the Stand United. That's what I said earlier, Kobe. That Shen ulti has to result in something, and so far it results in a kill. Viper still hanging around tier 2. 3 G2 players underneath the tier 1 turret. Compromised health bars, but BLG doesn't have the resources to try to dive them.
Yeah, I mean, they got to calm down now. The pace,
pump the brakes.
The pace was really, really accelerated there for a while. You know, with a big investment. They invested the flash from Shen and the Galio ult to start that play on Labrov way back when, Flowers, before Broken Blade had solo killed Ben as well. And that was a big investment at the an attempt on the Nautilus's life, and Labrov just flashed out of the range. So really good sequence from G2 afterwards. SkewMond stays on the dragon. He finishes the objective, then they go for the turn, and they know that Shen has no flash from last time. He tried to use it on Labrov, and then they focus him down, so Hans is able to flash to safety, and SkewMond just stays on that Shen. They get their kill. But remember, Flowers, this fight goes so long, that Shen that just died is going to get back up and ult back, and ult back into the fight here, right on top of Knight, on his back. His action score is staying very, very high in this game. right after he dies, gets back up, and ults back into the action.
That G2 fan jumped up out of his seat. He was excited. Bonk. I love the crowd here in Brazil, man. Has been scrapping with Broken Blade yet again. Keeper's verdict. Only the point-blank range, but he sidesteps away from the ultimate. Public execution doesn't hit, but it doesn't matter. Broken Blade's already dead as Shen wants to make it a second one on to SkewMond, but nice patience there from Skew. Getting away with the Vault Breaker, providing enough distance from Shen to guarantee that he survives, except maybe not, because here comes River Shen. He wants to get that last little bit of damage, but he just doesn't have it. SkewMond stays alive, but the pressure is there for BLG in the top side of the map.
Locket of the Iron Solari Shen, not enough damage to finish off.
Locket doesn't do enough first.
SkewMond. But they did have a really good play, and credit to Viper. The Ashe Arrow is what started that all off. Ashe Arrow from downtown. Meanwhile, Knight is fairly tanky.
Yeah, he takes a bit of a beating, loses about half his health bar, but again, we're still pretty early on in the game. Hans is not a powerhouse yet on the Senna. He has the static shift to provide the extra wave clear. Yeah. There's your Coinbase gold grind kind of showing where our AD carries are at so far in this game. Overall, it's a 1,000 gold lead for BLG, so still very close over the first 14 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and they also got to add the soul grind flowers for Hansama here.
That rhymes.
Because, because that is also a critical part to the scaling of this champion, of course. Looks like he is going for the Black Cleaver style build here on Senna afterwards as well. So gonna have that extra shred between him and Vian. Oh, really nice replay from the observers. That Ashe Arrow that we were talking about got a shot here from Viper from downtown, and it went through the terrain, so BB didn't have opportunity to dodge that at all. Just unfortunate for him. He got sniped by Viper, and Bin gets to get the kill.
Good shot from Viper, and now BLG are deciding they are going to go for the Rift Herald. It is desynced from the Dragon timer. You still see about 60 seconds on the clock until that third Drake of the game spawns. Bin has control. He has priority and push in the top lane, so that means it's difficult for Broken Blade to try to rotate and respond to this. It's a free Herald for Shen and BLG.
Okay. See if they actually want to use that mid at some point so they can actually open up the map here. Because if you've got Galio and Shen on your team, if you can take that mid lane and then start to move your vision in through both sides of the jungle, you put so much pressure on them when they're rotating between objectives, especially with how they've been playing and the heavy engages that have gone off.
Those trades are so nasty from Knight onto Caps. With the Hallowed Radiance completed, with the Quest Evolved boots, this Galio is scary for the Annie to deal with.
Yeah, Annie, this whole game has really been taking a beating with the pace of the game. We'll see if he does end up getting to make a big Tibbers play or something, but as you said, it's a full completed item on the Galio, and Annie, wait.
Ooh, nice arrow from Viper, but a nice buffer through it with the dredge line. Comes out from Labrov, staying safe for now. Knight arrives with the taunt, but another good buffer from Labrov. He gets hit by two powerful CCs, and he gets away from both of them by Spider-Manning back to the terrain. However, now there's no arrow on the Ashe. Now the Dragon is already alive. Cap's coming around. He has the flash available here for the Tibbers if G2 wants to try to fight, but no, it's on driving the Herald, a combat Rift Herald, going in to knock down the tier 1 turret, and now he goes in for the taunt right after. SkewMond's the only one who gets caught, but the heroic entrance is ready to follow up. Shen wants a little more, but G2 disengages in time. Tibbers dies. BLG will take the Dragon, they'll take the turret right after, and Mr. Kobe, they've taken a nearly 3,000 gold lead.
Yeah, Bin took Broken Blade's life while they were taking the Dragon, and he's going to take the tower on top side afterwards too. So, yeah, BLG accelerating pretty quickly here.
First we got Shen's revenge, now it's Bin's revenge.
Yeah, so it's interesting because you want to hear what the comms were like too of the Dragon fight, because both of them on top side can interrupt each other's teleports, and so they were both like keeping range on each other, and then it ends up with Bin having the open terrain fight here, opportunity to take down Broken Blade. So nice stuff there from Bin. Broken Blade gonna work on his Fimbulwinter and get extra tanky next, so he can provide some value in the team fights. You know, he wants to be tanky for the team fights, wanted to be in there with a steadfast presence with the rest of the team, so he can block these dashes on the side of BLG, but I don't know if they're going to get the chance here. BLG doing a very good job accelerating, so the next Dragon, they're going to have a really good setup, and you can see they're already taking the opportunity, trying to get really deep vision in the jungle. the earlier you get your vision down leading up to important dragon fights, the easier it is to track enemies' vision and set up the next set of wards for yourself. So this, although it is very long until the next dragon, it already bodes quite well for BLG's setup.
So when I checked in earlier, it was BLG solo lanes with the lead, but the bottom lane of G2 pulling ahead over their counterparts. Now when you look at the scoreboard, everyone except for the jungle is pretty significantly ahead on the BLG side. If you're G2, how do you stabilize this? How do you make it so, okay, let's just keep scaling, keep farming souls for Hans without BLG just snowballing even further?
I mean, it's pretty hard, but they are going to have to choose their moment and, you know, look for the big Tibbers play from Caps. I mean, you know, you can actually start it off multiple ways. Obviously, they have Vi and they have Nautilus too, but they have to get their big surprise play here. Okay. Maybe carve out some vision for themselves like they've just done. We were mentioning all the setup, and look at that. It's all turned red now, all the wards. So Labrov and SkewMond able to clear out a lot of these wards and get themselves a pathway here to set up that big play. We'll say, of course, Hans always scaling here, always stacking up the souls. His Black Cleaver we were talking about is also completed. So they can shred. They can really shred through front line. Vi denting blows, Black Cleaver on the Senna. We'll see what they decide to go with here. Until the big moment, though, they're just trying to safely tend to their side lanes. It's a little bit difficult because of the Shen and the Galio that we mentioned, but they're doing it fairly nicely right now. You just had that reset. Caps goes back out. He can just catch top side. He has his teleport ready, no problem.
And you're talking about the second item being done on the Senna. There's second items coming out in a couple of different places here as well. Viper with the Phantom Dancer completed for Ashe. Spear of Shojin done for Bin makes Ambessa so much more obnoxious to deal with in the fights with the extra cooldowns, the extra power there. As Labrov gets tagged by a volley, but not a whole lot more. Dredge line from Labrov, not going to hit a target there, as G2 does have 4 men here in the mid lane, while Knight pushes bottom, and you can see Bin pushing top, while On and Viper just defend, hold the line here in mid. Shen continues clearing his camps. He's now caught back up to SkewMond in terms of individual gold. 60 seconds, a little bit more, remains before our next dragon is going to spawn. I'm curious if G2 will want to fight for this. It's still only 2 Drakes for BLG, so they won't get the soul just yet, and taking a fight in open ground with a 3K gold deficit at 20 minutes can be pretty scary. Yeah,
definitely can. They could opt for maybe top side play. They could cross map, maybe finish off the rest of that turret or something, and exchange some gold for it and just keep Hansama stacking souls. Or they have the flashes ready, so okay, it'll be interesting to see the decision. BLG here, of course, trying to keep track of both, and Bin is able to push out the top side first, so Bin should always be able to get first move. He's 2-item Ambessa, very threatening with his Spear of Shojin done.
Okay, so looking at the scoreboard, every summoner spell for both teams is available except for the cleanse from Hans. SkewMond gets stunned up by the arrow. Knight wants to follow in for the taunt, but a nice interrupt from Labrov means that BLG will not be able to chain CC the enemy jungler. However, SkewMond has lost about 40% of his HP with 10 seconds left until the objective is on the map. G2, however, have first walk into the river. Shun with the rest of BLG here in the mid lane. As you're going to see a TP coming in from Bin off to the side. He wants the pincer attack on the Ambessa. There's no wards to see where he is from the G2 squad. As BLG waiting for now. G2 starting up the Drake. On goes in for the taunt, but Broken Blade Steadfast Presence is going to block it. A little bit of damage comes out from Viper. Caps with the defensive Tibbers. G2 scrambling to try to defend themselves as Shun jumps into the middle, and now Bin has joined the battle, and SkewMond is already down. They continue charging forward, and BLG wants more blood. Shun chasing after Caps. Viper flashes away to stay alive, and Labrov is going to be the sacrifice. Shun dies to Broken Blade. As it's 1-for-1, and it's both the junglers, Kobe. The Dragon's still on the map, and there's nobody with Smite still standing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they got so split in that fight. It does end up being 1-for-1, so G2 gets some gold back, but it's still going to be Dragon number 3 and setting up BLG for Soul. Coming in 5 minutes. Let's see. So, Bin, you mentioned the teleport really early on. He comes in, he gets his big shield for his top lane quest, and they choose their moment once they see the split and all the initiation going the other way. Broken Blade did get the Poppy ultimate, but Shen and Galio both just ult in anyway. Shen tries to go over the wall and they chase on Caps, and that's where Broken Blade is able to peel for Caps, though, and answer the kills and take out enemy jungle. Despite that, kind of defensive one kill going back the way of G2 though. BLG still accomplished their goal, get their third dragon, and we're looking towards the Infernal Soul here to add that extra damage.
Yeah, Infernal Soul, sometimes different souls can feel like they're better or worse in different games. I feel like Infernal Soul always feels good, just having that extra burst potential there, as the gold lead has shrank back down below 3,000, so G2 will feel good about that. And it looks like they might be looking to make a move towards Knight here, as Broken Blade tackles him into the wall. Caps and SkewMond both coming in to follow up. Knight tries to get away, but a nice stun from Caps locks him up before he makes it over to the blast cone. Yeah, he gets away from SkewMond, but he walks right back in towards the other two, and SkewMond takes the kill anyway. G2 get their 5th one.
Yeah, great movement here from Broken Blade. You know, as soon as he's like, oh, Knight is going to trade on me, he starts walking for a good angle on his charge and ensures that the extra members of G2 can get that kill.
Ooh, On finding himself taking a little bit of unnecessary damage here. He flashes away from SkewMond. The depth charge is on the BLG support. However, he flashes underneath the turret, and that makes it too dangerous for G2 to follow up.
And you're still going to have to worry about Bin. This Ambessa is going to get really, really scary here. Honestly, already is. Bin, during the bottom side play, where G2 sent 3 people across the minimap there, was able to get that secondary turret on the top side. So Bin working out on the split push up there, and we'll keep track, because level 16 here for him, definitely very threatening.
Steel Sigil in the inventory means that we're going to get something like a Guardian Angel or Death Stance, something that's going to be that much more obnoxious on this champion that already creates so much pressure. The tier 1 turret down here in the bottom lane for BLG is just barely standing. A single auto attack from any champion is going to knock that over. Caps drops Tibbers, trying to hit Viper with it, but really doesn't get a whole lot of value out of that ultimate. It's totally fine, though. There's nothing really big to fight for unless for some reason somebody starts a YOLO Baron. 2.5 minutes on the clock still until what will be the Infernal Soul for BLG spawns, and G2 will have to be ready for that. The good news for them is the gold lead continues to shrink. We went from about 3,500 down to about 2,500. Now we're below 2K, the lead for BLG, and that's 5 minutes later on in the game than when we had the 3,500 lead. So honestly, G2 is probably feeling a lot better about taking this fair fight in the river against BLG to stop the Soul.
Yeah, the thing I'm going to keep my eyes on is how much damage they're able to actually output. Hex optics here, though, for Hansama are completed, so Senna does get the 3rd item in time, and they definitely do need that. Every little bit of damage on this comp really is going to be meaningful. So you're going to have to keep track of BLG, how they use their shields, the Galio shield and the Shen shield. Those will be critical as well in setting up for this one. G2 trying to get some early positioning, but Bin's split push on top side always means BLG going to have the early push and early move.
And I like the going for executioners here, going for Mortal Reminder for Viper as the 3rd item. Not only are you going to cut the Senna healing, but you're going to really reduce the effectiveness of that Protoplasm harness on Labrov's Nautilus. As now Broken Blade throws out the Keeper's Verdict. They want to try to burst On down. However, here comes the hero's entrance to reinforce. On just barely lives with about 50 HP. He had to make sure he stayed away from the dredge line. There's Shen with the defensive ulti here too. BLG forced away by G2. Unfortunately for the European team, there's still about 60 seconds left until that dragon spawns, so it's not going to guarantee that they can stop the Soul, but they definitely went out in health bars. They're going to force BLG to back off.
Interesting, because Broken Blade, no flash now, and he used his heal, but you know, didn't die, as you say, and is just going to be able to reset here. So BLG still in a good position mid.
Yep, and there's your flash away from SkewMond. So now this sequence, in the past 30 seconds, Broken Blade, SkewMond, and Labrov have all used flashes on the G2 side.
Exactly, and that's what you're looking for leading up to the Dragon. Now 30 seconds, though, on the Dragon. What those flashes did get G2 is position. Position with control wards in the river. Let's see if that actually matters.
And BLG still trying to take out this mid lane tier 1 turret of G2 that has refused to fall for the entire game thus far. TP coming in as Broken Blade joins up with the rest of G2. On looking to be the first one into the scrap here. Steadfast Presence isn't going to block anything immediately. On tackled back into the wall. Labrov taking a ton of damage. Wind becomes lightning. Shun's creating space here with the ulti, but Labrov is still alive. The Winds of War claim his life as Knight's going to be taken low and he's taken out. Tibbers is making a little bit of space, but in goes Bin. Down goes Broken Blade. Caps is the one who gets the kill credit on Knight, but the Wind becomes lightning, finds the Annie. Bin's got to be careful here. Hansama still has a little bit left, but there's your public execution. Bin's going into the middle of everybody. Ambessa tears G2 apart.
him in the dumpster, Flowers. What a turn from Bin's Ambessa.
He put him in the dumpster. He took him out to the curb. Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop. He called the garbage collection company early because Bin is having no more of it. BLG with a crazy play from their top laner, and G2 definitely want that one back.
We warned you, you're gonna have to worry about Bin. The Ambessa is getting so scary, but the double ult from Broken Blade at the beginning is really big. Turns it into a 3v5, but look, Viper, he's trying to pepper from the side here. Knight survives for a fairly long time, as does Bin, and Bin is the one doing all this work. Then you start to be like, oh, do we have to really respect this Senna? It's so annoying already with 3 items, the range, it's starting to get bad, but Bin says, no, I don't care. And the best part about this replay, his whole team, look at the mini-map, they were leaving.
Yeah.
The rest of BLG were leaving, going to Dragon. They were going to do the objective. And Bin said, I don't care. I see the angle. They're all grouped up. I'm going in with the ult. I get the triple effectiveness there. He hit everybody. Man, insane.
Bin, when he's in form, is just such a monster. This Ambessa, 7-1-1. He is 7 out of 10 of the kills on his team. He just got as many kills in the cleanup of that fight as the rest of the team has put together, and also all of those are on Knight.
Bin is for sure G2 father, showing it. He's got a QSS, Flowers.
Oh my goodness, he is just, he's out of control. All right, it's a 7,000 gold lead, plus an Infernal Soul, plus Baron for BLG. G2 have got to make a miraculous defense here at this point. All 5 grouped up, Dredge line hits Shen, immediate defensive Zen ulti in response. Gonna stop G2 from going any further forward right now. Shen's gonna pop the blast cone just so it can't interfere if any fights do break out. Hans, Broken Blade, and Labrov trying to defend this. Caps answering Knight over in the mid lane here at the same time. Baron empowered cannon minions, 2 of them continuing to chip away at this turret HP. BLG on the push. Another volley hits, and the volley is so nasty with the Infernal Soul, Kobe. It feels like it doubles the damage of the thing, as there goes the tier 3 turret in the bottom lane. Pressure continues over in mid. Labrov's just gonna die. Bin, legendary, 8 kills here on the Ambessa. Tibbers was used. There's no way now for them to have that big initiation. Broken Blade and the rest of G2 trying to defend, but they have to do it 4v5 for the next 30 seconds. I don't even know if BLG is going to give them the chance. Those 2 cannon minions, still the artillery power of BLG, putting the pressure onto the turrets. Broken Blade stepping forward, trying to create some space, buy a little bit of time, but he's down below half HP. It's very, very dangerous even for the tanky Poppy. The cannon minions will take out that first Nexus turret, and BLG have now claimed 2 inhibitors, 1 Nexus turret, and the back of G2 is broken.
And it was broken by Bin. I mean, honestly, no matter what side you are on, even European fans, you have to marvel at Bin at the international stage when he is at his best, when he is just performing. It is so fun to watch. And this is Aftermath, of course, the previous play is where Bin did all the work. He's gonna do a little more work here. He's like, all right, you know, I'm gonna dash in and snipe Labrov, 1 more kill. But the reason BLG are wearing Infernal Soul and Baron right now also are because of him.
Bin it to win it. This dude is putting in so much heavy lifting in game number 1. Viper with a nice arrow onto Caps. There's your taunt flash from On to follow it up. Defensive Tibbers isn't going to matter. The Bear's going to get removed from the Rift immediately. And now with the mid laner dead for 45 seconds, you have to think this is the game-ending push here for BLG. Viper might be below half HP, but he's already got a Guardian Angel. BLG looking to take the fight now. SkewMond into the back line with the Dawning Shadow over the top. Viper is dropping low, but the GA is still there. Shen retreating back to stop the divers from G2. On dies to Hans Sama. Shen is still low. Resurrection's going to come out onto SkewMond through his own Guardian Angel. Broken Blade escapes off to the side, but SkewMond is down. They continue going forward, and Hans Sama is caught. G2, this is their last gasp in game 1. Knight takes the kill on the Brav. BLG has a 5v1. There's nothing Broken Blade can do to defend it. That Nexus is not long for this world. Can they get the ace at the very end, right on the steps of the fountain? I believe they can. Ace for Bin and BLG. Game 1 goes their way.
Huh. Flowers. I wonder who people will vote for player of the game.
I do not know, Kobe. I am truly perplexed.
I truly am confused and wonder, analyst-esque, What do you think?
Don't care. Didn't ask, guys. I'm tired of
She's
this
mad.
Bin guy over and over again. Every international event, he's adding I'm starting on Europe later his book collection. Like, guys, can we, Bin, can you stop? Can you chill?